Hi, let's look at our agenda for today. We're going to be finding focus. We're going to start by finishing up our concept map. Then we're going to write research questions and we're going to talk about identifying keywords. We've moved on to the wonder phase of the inquiry model because during the wonder phase we ask questions. So we're going to be asking some questions today. We want you to warm up by discussing with a partner the following question. Why do we need research questions? So you can think about that for a second, hit pause, and then come back. Okay, so research questions give us focus. They help us narrow in when we're looking at a source and identify which information is actually going to be important. When we're taking notes, we don't want to just copy and paste or write down everything we find. We want to be able to hone in on the important stuff that will really directly address our topic. So that's why we use a research question. So we're going to start off our class today, or our lesson today, by deciding which controversy we are going to work with. So you are going to look at your graphic organizer that we did in class, where we identified 3 different controversies, and you're going to select one controversy that you want to spend the next 6 weeks with. So on your concept map, go ahead and put a star next to the controversy you're going to choose. Remember, the one you choose should be the one where you had no problems finding plenty of evidence to prove each of these 2 different viewpoints. So let's talk about research questions. This is not the first time we've talked about research questions. In the past, you've done quite a bit with writing research questions. We introduced the concept of inch, foot, and yard questions back in 8th grade, and then we talked about it again during social studies. So remember, a yard question are the best kinds of questions for research. With yard questions, you have to work really hard to answer the question. We can compare yard questions to digging a really deep hole. So remember, it's really hard to dig a deep hole, just like it's really difficult to answer a yard question. They require a lot of work. When you're writing a yard question, you are going to think, does the answer to this question require multiple paragraphs? Does the answer to this question require multiple sources? If the answer is yes, you're on the way to a good yard question. And does my question require me to do lots of thinking and draw conclusions of my own? If you're going to be drawing conclusions and doing lots of thinking, that's a good sign it's a yard question. A couple examples of yard questions would be things like, why should the government require calorie labels on junk food packaging? Or why should school districts ban junk food in vending machines? Those are examples of questions where I've had to look at multiple sources, answer them with multiple paragraphs, and draw conclusions. So we're going to be writing yard questions today. We are going to take a little bit of a shortcut in writing our yard questions today. We are going to take your viewpoints. So remember how we had our left shoe and our right shoe are things that kind of go together in pairs, but they argue opposite things. Our viewpoints are going to become our yard questions. So our shortcut trick is going to be to add the word why in front of a viewpoint. So for example, let's say my viewpoint is marijuana use is dangerous for society. So to turn it into a yard question, I would just add, why is marijuana use dangerous for society? If my viewpoint is bioterrorism poses a serious threat, I would just add in front of it, why does bioterrorism pose a serious threat? Another example would be unhealthy food should not be marketed to kids. So I can just add in front of that, why should unhealthy food not be marketed to kids? So by adding why is, why does, or why should, I can take these viewpoints and turn them into yard questions. I want you to try these next 2 on your own. So in a minute, you can pause the video and you can write down a question from this viewpoint and this viewpoint. So the first viewpoint that I want you to try is online gambling creates underage gambling addicts, and Canada's seal hunt is cruel. Take both of those viewpoints and turn them into a question using the word why. Go ahead and hit pause, and when you've got an answer, you can come back. So we could say, why does online gambling create young gambling addicts? And why is Canada's seal hunt cruel? So you are going to do the same thing now. You should have in Classroom a handout that looks like this. It's probably got the word questions and notes in it. So you're going to open the handout in Classroom that has the word questions and notes in it. And you're going to see that we're starting in the Wonder Phase thing. You're going to find the 2 yellow boxes, and you're going to take your viewpoint A and add the word Y in front of it, and then you're going to take your viewpoint B and add the word Y in front of it. So A is going to become question 1, and B is going to become question 2. So, for example, my first viewpoint is junk food bans in schools are not effective. So in this yellow box, I would just write, why are junk food bans in school not effective? And my other box says junk food bans are effective in schools. So I would say, why are junk food bans in schools effective? You are going to go ahead and type into the yellow box those 2 things. And that ends this portion on writing questions. There's a second lesson for today on identifying keywords. So you're going to have to play the second video to understand how to identify keywords.